Hey everybody, it's David with No Chaser, and this is just kind of an update video, just about my life. If you care, I know some people follow it just to see how my progress and stuff like that's going. So, anyways, to the point, I got basically a health checkup. They checked, like blood tests and everything like that. Checking liver enzymes, um, a bunch of other stuff I really don't know how to pronounce. I had to have help reading it. If you ever get like a sort of a physical with blood tests and other things like that, just to see how your body's doing, maybe years or a couple days or months or whatever after, dealing with addiction or alcoholism, make sure to ask them, like ask the doctor or ask one of the nurses there of like how to read it. Because I remember I was given this packet and I basically got like a general overview of it, but I don't know how to read any of that stuff. There's like these numbers and percentages, and I don't know if it's good and I don't know if it's bad. So I had mine explained to me, and it turned out that I am doing pretty good. Despite a recent relapse and everything like that, it didn't last too long. It did enough damage in the meantime, but my liver enzymes have been lowered. My There's another word that starts with an L that I can't pronounce. That was for the stomach from using DXM. That has normalized. It's back to good. I mean, it was basically a clean bill of health. A little bit too much potassium, I guess. I don't know. And now I've already forgot what that means. But essentially, I've got a clean bill of health, which is amazing. I throughout these past, I would say 8, 9 years, I've struggled, but I've been mostly sober. There's just been these, kind of horrific relapses in between, but they don't last very long. I mean, they honestly can't last that long. And by can't, I mean not because I'll choose not to continue drinking, but I usually end up in such a bad place that I have to go to some institution or be hospitalized in some way, and it's almost pathetic how little they last. I mean, I basically drink like Nick Cage in Leaving Las Vegas whenever I relapse, and so I was just curious about. I mean, I wasn't just curious. I really wanted to know how my body was holding up, and it all looks good, which is amazing. It's amazing how the body can heal itself, because I've talked about this before where nothing about my drinking or anything like that, like I was doing it better. There's just kind of like a spin of the wheel, a sort of life roulette wheel about the genetics that you get. And some people, like I mentioned before, there was a guy who a couple years ago, I mean, he had drank exactly like I did, and both his kidneys failed. And I mean, like almost exactly like I did. Our kind of timelines of drinking and our way of drinking and the amount and frequency was all about the same. But just, genetically, like I said, it has nothing to do with the way I drank or being more cautious or anything like that. It's just kind of how it turns out. And I think you see that a lot in addiction and recovery, and how their body reacts to it. So I was wondering about mine, and I'm so grateful that I am, healthy as I am. I try to eat well. I work out, I do stuff like that, but you never know. I mean, a lot of it felt like just trying to recoup over like almost this past decade, recoup from either some relapses or from I don't know, 7 years before that where I was drinking almost daily. I kind of always broke up my drinking years in like the BC and AD, and it was like basically I kind of put it this way, where it was about 7 years of just the dog days of just drinking every day, drinking like at work, drinking just throughout, like, I honestly think there was like a 2 year period in between there where I wouldn't have blown double zeros on a breathalyzer, not once during that whole time. That's not a brag or anything like that. It's just that's the way I drank. And then these past, I guess it would be around 8 years. Like I said, I've been mostly sober. But the crazy thing is that I've relapsed before, have gotten, and only for a little bit, but have gotten test results that show my liver enzymes like shot up. And, so you just never know how your body will react to this stuff. Like, I've said, maybe I've said, but like there was a time where I drank for basically about 2 weeks, and the withdrawals felt like the same when I had quit drinking after about 2 years straight. I think it's my body just like completely rebelling and going, we're not doing this stuff anymore. Please stop. We're going to make this as comfortable and horrific as possible for you. Which, it's strange. The body has like a psychosomatic way, I believe. I mean, I'm clearly not a doctor, but like this psychosomatic way of dealing with its own mechanisms amongst addiction, where I feel like, I've had a lot of people I know tell me they've had the same experience where, it's said amongst a lot of recovery circles, and especially like in AA and stuff, where it's like you pick up right where you left off as far as relapse goes. Like, as in, if you were doing this much drugs or drinking this much, when you relapse, you may start a little bit, but it'll basically accelerate back to where it was. And I fully believe that. But the crazier thing is that it not only seems to pick up right where it left off, but it picks up as if you never stopped drinking, sometimes health-wise. Like I said, 3 weeks, or maybe, no, not even 3 weeks, like 2 weeks of a relapse, I had the same amount of severity in my withdrawals than the time I quit after 2 years straight. So I basically just wanted to check myself out, and there's always the crazy thought that I know a lot of people have gotten and have expressed, and you kind of have too, because addiction makes your mind crazy sometimes, where you get a clean bill of health and you go, maybe there's more to be had, and it's like, no, there's not. But that quickly passed, and I recognized it for what it was, just a crazy sort of thought. So I feel good. And again, the biggest thing that is been helping me and has helped me a lot during the times I've stayed sober is just being grateful. And I'm truly grateful, because I like I said, I can't say I was going to say I don't deserve this. I mean, in some ways, I feel like I do, just for purely of sober times, but I don't deserve it to this extent. I've done a lot of damage to my body, and the fact that, I just am so grateful I didn't do anything that was totally irreversible. And especially with the DXM stuff, it was affecting me cognitively, it was affecting my speech, and this would be days after I'd done it. And I was really worried. I mean, that was one of the biggest reasons why I got the physical and a lot of the tests, was because I was worried about if I did anything irreversible, that they could find that would affect me from that point on. I didn't do it for very long, but I did it. Like, it got to a small time where I was doing it very heavy. And again, you just don't know how your body will react to drugs and alcohol. So anyways, this was just sort of an update. And I mean, that's all there really is. Before I forget, I have a podcast that I co-host with my good friend, where we talk a lot about like addiction and mental health, and then a bunch of other silly jokes and goofiness. It's called Shoeless in South Dakota. I know I posted a lot in my description. I don't know how often people actually read the descriptions of videos, but it's called Shoeless in South Dakota. It's on every available like major podcast player, all that type of stuff. Check it out. I think if you like these videos, you'll definitely like that. Other than that, that's my only plug, I swear. That and Squarespace. No, just kidding. I obviously don't have advertisers. But other than that, be well.